Jones might move up to heavyweight.
Right, that's a possibility. Dude, the heavyweight division's stacked. It's going to be stacked if he comes up and, like, all these guys are coming up. And, like, there's a few guys that are in the division now that are on their way up. And this is about the funnest the heavyweights division's ever been, really. Yeah.
Well, all right, right here, right now. John Jones versus Jeff Lights Out Hughes. Who wins?
Me, of course.
Of course, right there. I knew that answer already. I just wanted to hear it from you. Cool.
You need to start calling out Brock Lesnar.
That's what I told him. That's what I told him.
Brock Lesnar's going to be like, who's that?
Who?
Fuck. Fight me.
And maybe
Give
that'll be
me
more
money.
incentive. He'll be like, yeah, I'll take this guy out real quick, and then you kill him.
Then you got a name.
And then you take
You
Sable
got a
from
name
him.
for life. No. Wait a second.
Sorry, Rachel.
Sable's bringing that paycheck, maybe.
Oh, boy. They got a lot of kids. Their kids' names?
I have no
Shouldn't
idea.
be talking.
Wow, yeah.
Let's see.
Brock Lesnar will be
I think
calling
one
you
is. I think one is Turk
Turk.
That's
Lesnar.
a wrestling move, yeah.
And
I thought of Scrubs.
that's what I thought of too.
Yeah.
And Duke, I believe. Duke Lesnar.
That's a
Duke,
badass name.
that is
Duke
cool.
and Turk, I believe, are their
I think
two
Duke-
sons.
Both of those are cool, actually.
Duke's a pretty badass name. I like it.
I mean, you have to be a fighter,
Your
a wrestler.
dad is fucking Brock Lesnar. You're going to be a fucking monster.
And have you seen his daughter?
No, I didn't even know
I
that.
don't
Oh, yeah,
believe
She
it's
looks
Sable.
just like
her.
She looks like a female Brock
Exactly.
Lesnar.
Yeah,
For
he
sure.
must have had her like in what when he was in the WWE the first time.
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
like
she's older.
16?
She's
She's
older.
got to be like
yeah.
a teenager.
Oh.
Yeah, and she wrestles, I believe.
And actually, the picture I've seen of her, I probably saw a few years ago. She might even be older now.
Yeah, she might be graduated, and I
She
think,
might be training right now. Probably.
and
Gonna
obviously
kick Cyborg's
Sable
ass.
has a couple kids, I think, with Mark Mero,
Mark Mero, yeah.
her previous marriage. So there's all kinds of kids there. So before you say the money with Sable, you realize all these kids that are.
Yeah.
And you'd have to talk to Brock, about.
Yeah, give me some child support.
Yeah.
That should be like Daddy's Home, that movie.
We went a little
Brock
deep there.
Who's the dad of these kids? Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, Mark
What?
Jesus. I don't think we ever introduced ourselves. Jerrod Griffiths is the guest on the show
I'm a
today.
guest again. Man, I had a great time a couple shows ago. I don't know if we're going to live up to last week's episode, but that was
That
was
was
a classic, man.
Jam Up Serious Talk.
yeah. You guys had a hell of a special guest, and that was a awesome episode you guys did.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
So I don't think I'll be able to live up to that, but I'm glad to be back on the show, and hanging out with you guys, talking everything there is to talk about.
Evan, honestly, before all this was going down, he probably been a pretty ridiculous, boring show. I mean, even though he back then was a goofy dude, but like now, man,
There's been a whole bunch of nonsense with Evan, but it's tough to keep up with him.
I was so happy, man. He's like he's same Evan but different. He's like speaking clear. He seems like he's all there. The fucking lights are on.
It's
somebody's
hardly
home.
a person that we know anymore. Like, you know what I mean? It's been so long.
Yeah.
But listening to that, I mean, like, he told the story of stealing change from my house, and like, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, and you hear this like third person sometimes, where you hear like people do terrible things when they have a problem, and without being sympathetic, you can immediately think like, oh, that's just the excuse. That's just an excuse for him. But like, when you actually know him, and that's not the real person that he is, that really, if it wasn't for those problems, that he never would be that person.
Yeah.
Like, that.
It really opened my eyes to a lot of the whole, like, I used to be one of those boneheads that was talking all about, addiction's a fucking choice. You had a choice to put that needle in your arm. You had a choice to pick up that bottle of whiskey. After talking to him, I'm like, man, that could have easily been me.
Yeah.
There was
could've
a
been.
choice to probably start, but I don't. All the other things, like, there's no way he chose that he really wanted to be a guy that had to
Depended
have a drink
on
to
it,
get through the day at work. But I mean, just so much respect for him, because how difficult is it for anybody to sit and just admit they're wrong, right? To admit, even amongst your friends, just to be like, you know what, yeah, man, I was wrong for that. Like, it's a hard thing to do. Well, he got
did
on
it
here
for
in front of
an
camera
hour and a half.
for over an hour, where hundreds and hundreds of people have already seen it, and more still can. It's always going to be out there.
Yep.
So you got a guy bearing his soul telling you,
Right.
like, yeah, this is all the things that I've done. I fucked up. Like that takes a lot. So, I mean, so much love and respect for him for coming on here.
What did you take out of it?
I thought it was a hell of a story, and I didn't think about what you said at the beginning about like how different it might have been if that wasn't the case for Evan in that moment. Like it probably would have been a much shorter episode, but like hearing him do that for like probably a good hour and 15, 20 minutes, it was quite an eye opener. I enjoyed it a lot.
One thing I wanted to talk to you about, and we can obviously edit this if you're not comfortable with this, but your experience the last couple of weeks, what has it been like?
Ooh, okay.
Because I think I know enough, but I just kind of want to hear it from you.
Well, I'll tell you what, we can tell a little story, and then we can seg into the single life talking that Mark and I were talking about.
If we get
Yeah.
in with the
Yeah,
single
we gotta
life,
go.
I think that's a good way to end it.
Yeah.
Probably.
You guys have a whole list of stuff that you need to talk about.
No, we got,
We got more episodes.
That's true. That's true. So the last time that I was here, we filmed ourselves an episode. We had a really good time. What nobody would have known was I was intentionally kind of staying the day away from home. Wasn't in the best place with my domestic partner at that time, and so I was just trying to have a good day away from the house. To be honest, like I was my dad's down at Granny Bird's. We were helping build that wheelchair ramp for and stuff.
Well, it's phenomenal, by the way.
Yeah, so I mean, we're doing. So it wasn't just like I went out and got drunk with my friends all day. We were doing some work and all that, and then I came over here and like we did that podcast and we watched the TLC pay-per-view, and like it was just a day, man, where it's
that's right.
I wanted to get away from the house because again I hadn't things were going downhill pretty quickly with the girl that I was with.
We've all been there.
Yeah.
So I get home then after that. And I had a few beers while I was here, but like I wasn't hammered or anything like by any means.
Oh, I was very
No.
impressed by the amount, the lack of beer you drank, because I think you had a 12 pack.
and I
on you.
left like half of them here.
I
Yeah,
can remember.
and Mark had some,
Yeah.
and you still had.
Yeah.
Yeah, you.
I
left.
brought a 12 pack, and
Yeah.
I think I drank like 3, maybe 4 while we were here the entire time.
Yeah.
So I get home and she was ready to fight. Now, and I know we're not going to like get in the full story, but the thing that was like frustrating was now here's the thing. Like we were again having frustrations with this person for a while anyways. So I get home and she's ready to fight. She's furious, and what her grief was she was going through the phone log and mad that I was having phone conversations with the mother of my kids, right?
Wow.
And I said exactly. I'm like I have to talk to her. Like, and this is near Christmas time and everything too. So I was talking to her a little bit more than normal. Like, but I mean, it was a conversation saying I'm getting this and this and this for the kids, just to make sure you're not getting the same thing, and just stuff like that. We talked about like our daughter wanted to get her ears pierced, and like had a real discussion on it. Like, what do you think? I mean, just. I don't really want to talk to her all that much either. But like, there's things we have to talk about,
Well,
and like and
me
it's
going
just-
through the same situation right now, with me not being with the mother of my daughter. There are things that you absolutely 100% have to communicate on,
yeah.
and it's easier that way when you're getting along and at least playing friendly. You don't have to be best friends because
And
nobody
this-
expects you to.
And then ultimately, and what I realized, and that's what Lee had said, and what other people had said that I know is true now, that the girl I was with didn't like it when we got along, had insecurities about it, right, and did not like it. So when I got home, she was ready to hit me with that, and what I was, we're gonna say what I'm guilty and not guilty of. What I am guilty of was not keeping my composure at that point because I was tired of it. I was, been upset with her, and I. More, bad words and everything like that, and just I'm tired of all of this, and like I'm not dealing with this anymore, and you need to go. And
we are not known for our patience when it comes to that
so,
either.
and so
Women aren't necessarily known for, not making that happen either.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Well, sure. Now that when you get into a domestic incident, as we're going to talk about here, they can be an asshole the first 99 times, and if you're too big of an asshole that 100th time, it doesn't really matter.
Yep.
But so what I'm guilty of was I was not calm and cool and collected. I was tired of it, and I was like, I'm tired of all this shit. Where said you need to go. She responded out foolishly. We were on the same phone plan, so I had my phone in my pocket. She had said like, well, I'll leave, but I'm giving my phone back. I'm like, I'll get your phone back. Why don't you just get out of the house? Like, I'm not dealing with this. So she reached for my phone in the pocket. I kind of kept her arm at bay.
A natural reaction.
Natural. I mean, that's all it was. Like, it was.
Honest
Yeah,
with you, it's a natural reaction.
there was nothing. Nothing menacing or anything like that. Like, if I was pushing her arm back, I probably did. But that was enough for her to call the police. I was ignorant to this fact because I had never really had the police called on me before, never gone to jail, nothing. So I was ignorant to this fact. So I said, call the police, then fine. Like, we're both going to look like just assholes here. We're fighting.
Because nothing, in your head, nothing happened.
I'm like, she's
arguing.
she's saying that's domestic violence. You just shoved me. You just hit me. I'm like, I did not. I absolutely did not. It's ridiculous. But she called the police, and her being that mad, filed and pressed charges against me, and I got arrested. The night that I was here for the last podcast, I got arrested for the first time. Hopefully, the last time.
I think it will be, to be honest.
I spent overnight in jail. Spent the whole day in jail, and then. And we're not going to sit here and just bury a person on this podcast or anything like that. But she, the first day that I was in, she did not make any effort to make things better. She actually made every effort she could to make things worse. Wow. She then, I guess, came around or what have you to realize what she had done, and then she went to the judge later that Friday. We had no contact ban. That sort of stuff happens. But she went to the judge and wanted the no contact ban lifted. She wanted to drop the charges and everything. They don't drop the charges. They dropped from domestic violence, which is a first degree misdemeanor, which is really bad.
Sticks with you.
They dropped it down to disorderly conduct, which is a fourth degree misdemeanor, which is as low as a crime could get.
Yeah.
But it's still a crime. That's still on my record. I still have to pay court costs and shit like that.
Right. Yeah.
So it's still just nothing good for me, and it's not good at all for my, I have children with a co-parent and stuff like that. It's just none of it's good at all.
No.
And it was all things that just absolutely didn't need to happen. And so now as I'm in a court mandated, I mean, you can call it anger management class, but really what it is, it's like basically it's good stuff. It tells you how to dodge all these situations.
Nice.
Like the girl who conducts the class knows. Now don't get me wrong, there's probably a couple of those other guys in there are probably real assholes. Like they probably are.
Oh yeah,
they're probably dudes that'll smack their old lady or anybody around because they feel like it. But she also knows that most of it is probably guys like me that are just in the middle of a bad situation at a bad time and got caught up in it,
Yeah.
And so there's tips and stuff on how to dodge those situations. And like I kept saying, what I'm guilty of is I'm guilty of putting myself in that bad situation because I didn't handle somebody who was already hostile. I didn't handle it well. I handled it with more hostility.
Right.
And that led to a ugly
Well, you
situation.
just threw gasoline on the fire.
Sure. Yeah. Exactly. Which is something that you can't do. If you're in a domestic relationship and your partner is screaming at you and hostile towards you, you should call the cops. That's what you should do. And I mean, whether or not you want to press charges or not would be up to you, but you should do that. And you should be the one to say that I'm in a hostile situation. I'm being put in a hostile situation. I don't like this. I don't want to be in this. Because if you respond, if you react, it's whoever calls and it's whoever wants to press it. And I didn't know until I know that if somebody calls for a domestic situation, they're taking somebody to jail.
Yeah.
I've always heard that too.
Yep.
Like one or both are going to jail.
Yep. And her being mad for which really sucks too. It's like, man, if you want to be mad at me for something, there's plenty of stuff you can be mad at me about. I am not perfect.
Yeah.
There's things that I've been an asshole about, but that was something that was just so out of left field where I'm like, I don't have any way to even defend myself.
Well, you were in such a good place that day because we hung out, we had a great time.
Yeah.
I didn't.
And that's
come
why
home
it blew
mad.
me away, and
It
I
was a
like,
shocker
whoa.
for sure.
Yeah. I didn't come. I wasn't.
And then you only hear the one side because obviously you couldn't tell your side of it.
No.
I only heard the one side, and I was just like, I've lived with Jerrod. I've known him my whole life. That doesn't sound like him. And honestly, I've been in many situations where it sounds very similar to that, and a couple times I've had to call the cops. Because the one time especially, I called the cops because it got physical, and I didn't defend myself, as in I didn't put my hands on her, but
Sure.
I removed her from the situation.
Sure.
Because I wasn't going to sit there and get my ass kicked,
Right.
and I physically had to grab somebody by the shoulders and remove her from my property and call the cops on her because I was bleeding. It was a bad situation. That you can say it was because of alcohol, and we were both in that situation, and we were young and dumb, but I still probably didn't handle it well. I probably should have just took the ass whooping and called the cops, because the cop even told me, like, hey man, yeah, you did. You feel like you did everything right, but like she could easily just turn this all on you too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and make no mistake about it, it's not a fair system towards men. It's not, and like and it's a woman that's conducting this class that tells you this too. Right. She said, but you have to do it. Like she said, and
Is she cute? I should date her. She seems to get it.
She did. She said like women report it so much more. It's not to say that it's men always doing it. Like she said, it's impossible to know the real number, but it's obviously not nearly as skewed as it is because men don't report it.
I believe it was Bill Burr that said, like, look, I'll extend an olive branch. I'm willing to say that no man should ever hit a woman if a woman's willing to admit that every ass beating doesn't just fall out of the fucking sky. Because they definitely egg you on, man. Because I've been in situations, like, I never got arrested and the cops weren't called or anything, but, like, they threatened. But, like, I've never hit a girl or anything like that. I've stopped her from leaving because she's wasted, or like
that also gets
defended
you in trouble.
myself. I've been punched in the face twice by the same girl because she was drunk and belligerent and wouldn't listen to reason. You know
and
what
even,
I mean?
even at that point, you're sitting there just caring about the person who's being awful.
And I'm sober,
but
I don't even really like
care
to drink,
about her
right?
enough that you don't want her to leave. You don't want her to be reckless. You don't,
You don't
And you
want
don't
to
want
kill
all
a
this to
family.
blow up
Yeah.
in your face because they're drunk and not willing to fucking listen to you.
And yeah, that's the thing. You don't even want that person to go to jail because like, it's not really the person that she is, but she's being awful at that moment.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that was frustrating in my situation is that she was just really mad at me for something that didn't have merit in the first place. But even still, if you're mad at somebody, be mad at somebody. When you're in a relationship, you're going to be mad at each other. It's going to happen.
Exactly.
The fact that she was pretty much hell-bent on me going to jail and potentially losing my kids and things like that is why I'm not with this person anymore. I mean, more than anything else.
It seems like she was hell-bent. Like, it was
she was.
intentional.
It was planned.
Because you said
she planned
you
it.
said you asked her to leave multiple times and she wouldn't.
Yeah, I mean, well, she was ready for that fight the entire time, and as we talked about, I was with you guys.
Yeah.
And now the story, now if you want to spin the narrative, is he came home from drinking and then there was a fight. Okay, yeah, that's partly true, but I didn't come home, knee walking drunk. I didn't come home sitting here in a bad mood, like ready to fight. I was in a great mood hanging out with you guys.
You were reading, weren't you?
You
You started reading? Or weren't you reading something on your phone when the cops came?
I was just chilling. When the cops came, I was just chilling.
Yeah.
So you were unaware that the cops were on their way?
No, I knew they were on the way. She said she called them, but I didn't think I'd get arrested because I really didn't think I did anything wrong. But like, I mean, yeah. So the narrative could be like, he came home, he was out drinking all day. Like, no, I was out. I had a couple of beers with my buddies. We did a podcast, which isn't what normal people do, but like we did a podcast. We watched the wrestling pay-per-view.
I mean, it's all there.
Yeah, and so I had a couple beers and we watched wrestling and we ate pizza and we hung out like dudes do.
Yeah.
And I came home like just kind of ready to go to bed and start the next day, and it didn't happen. And again, like I said, I was guilty of not keeping my composure, as being accused of nonsense. And I mean, I was at my wit's end really with her anyway, and I think a lot of people actually knew that too. But like,
I think she knew that too.
That's a good possibility. Yeah,
I think she knew this is my take from it because I kind of know her, and obviously I know you really well. I think she thought this was it, and maybe this was going to be what you needed to stay. To like, if I get him in trouble and show like I still might be in control of something, like this will make him realize he loves me, that I'm calling the cops and that things need to get better. I'm trying to make things better, and it's just like it's a fucked up way to think. But
we call that manipulation.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And well, here's the thing: if you ever settled in a jail cell, man, you don't have anything else to do but think.
Ooh, it sucks.
Yeah, so I did a lot of thinking, and it's a lot of self-reflecting. I mean, like again, like I wasn't guilty at all what I was being accused of, but I was guilty of being in a bad situation. So like, reflect it, man, and like don't get yourself in these situations anymore. Like that's what you need to improve on. So like you can do that sort of thing, but then like. So if that's what you're thinking of, like, I'll show him and make him dependent on me. Like, no, I got to sit there and think about how I cannot be in this situation anymore. Yeah. And that's going to eliminate you from the equation.
Well, I mean, the way it doesn't always work like that for some people. Like, I can work he'll get up there eventually. But,
Sorry, guys. We're watching Walt try to get up on a chair that keeps rolling away from him.
Yeah, it's great.
He just looked back at us like, what the fuck?
Oh, dude,
there it is.
Nice job, buddy.
Only took him 12 times.
Forgot what I was going to say, Walt. Thanks.
Well, let's
get
do
into
our
the
Q&A. See if I have any more questions.
We did get some questions already. I got another message from a fellow who sent me a shit ton. Shout out to Eric Perry. Thanks for all the help, buddy.
All right.
Oh, he did give me another one, and that's a good one.
All right. Can I start it off?
Go for it.
All right. I got a few, and most of them are all about MMA.
Cool. Mostly for you then, probably. I'll sit back and
So I'm not gonna say. Okay, I'll say their whole name. All right. Josh Kissinger asks, "Was your fight at Knights of Columbus and Massillon one of your toughest fights?"
Yeah.
He goes, "That was a war. Bet you'd like to have that one back." So this was years ago. I was still an amateur. I believe it was my third amateur fight. It was. It was back in the day when you didn't know who you're fighting most of the time. Well, I knew I was fighting because it was for a belt.
Okay.
And I get there, and I don't see my guy anywhere. So the promoter comes up to me and goes, "Hey, I found somebody else for you." And I look, and I'm like, oh, my God, this guy's freaking huge.
Yeah.
So I was supposed to fight a guy that wasn't very good. He was like 8-8 or something like that, his record. Well, this guy was undefeated, 6'4", 260 pounds, muscle. I mean, it was like, and I'm a 20-year-old kid.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay, well, I never back down from a fight. Goes to a split decision, which I think I should have won, but I didn't. No excuses being made. I had a broken arm going into that fight. I broke 4 days before the fight.
You told me about the broken arm fight. This is that.
This is that one. The guy ended up having a decent, pretty successful pro career. I think he was 6-1 as a pro. I mean, it was a good fight. I could have won either way. I think I should have won. Obviously, I'm biased.
Oh, yeah. You
But
always should win.
it wasn't one of my toughest fights. It was just lack of experience. Being a 20-year-old kid. My 5-round fights. I would say my toughest fight that I came out the winner would probably be Mo Green, the one in Minnesota.
Yeah.
That was a tough fight. Both LFA fights were tough. They went all 5. But as an amateur, this was definitely up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got you.
So thank you for the question, Josh.
We're going to say names, I guess. You're going to hear this guy's name quite a bit, probably. Eric Perry asks, do you like the round setup? Do you think a 10-minute first round would make for a more exciting fight and first round finishes?
Depends. Are we only doing 2? Like in the Pride days, regular fight was 10-minute first round, 5-minute second round, and they judged it on the actual fight, not per round.
Yeah.
I don't wish on a 10-minute first round because that sounds miserable.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
But I do wish they would get rid of the whole scoring it round by round and just score it on the fight, because sometimes you might have a guy that starts off slow and might lose the first half of the fight and come on strong, but he's already lost his first 2 rounds.
No, for
so
sure.
he almost might get a finish in the 3rd round. He might, I think they should, because it's not like boxing where there's 10, 12 rounds.
Yeah.
It's MMA where there's 3 rounds for non-title fights. I think they should judge it on the actual fight.
No, that makes sense to me. I mean, what if the 3rd round for a guy who lost the first 2 rounds is basically a fight-winning round?
Right.
Like he technically won the fight in that round.
I would
didn't on
if
paper.
they started judging it like that, there'd be a lot less controversy on judging. I would think. I would hope.
Okay.
All right. So this is a funny one. Chris Parfell. He's an asshole. We all know him. What was your initial feeling after Earl Breeze beat you in Madden, then immediately choked you out? Did you fear for your life? All right, a little backstory. Earl Breeze. He might have beat me in Madden. I don't remember that part. Immediately choked me out, which did not happen.
Yeah.
What happened was we used to wrestle. I mean, it was a bachelor pad, constantly wrestling matches and just beating the shit out of, a lot of drinking. So
Gotcha.
Earl and me get into it on the couch. We start on the couch fighting. Of course, I'm beating the shit out of him. And all of a sudden, he's a big guy. He's like 6'6", 6'7".
Yeah.
Pushes me off. We land on top of an Xbox 360 controller.
Oh.
On my
God.
knee. Like the way we landed was the controller was on the ground, my knee, and then his body weight on my knee. And I thought I blew out my knee. And I was like, all right, I'm done.
Damn.
So that's the Earl Breeze story. If I will give him the win, even though it was a foreign object, I would say our the record's probably 121-1 against him.
Gotcha.
I've never lost besides that time.
Okay. He's got one win on you.
Yep.
What's the biggest thing you have learned from Stipe?
Biggest thing I've learned from Stipe, I would say just how to train like a champion. Like how hard he trains is I have to try to mimic it. And I've said this in interviews and stuff before. The dude is a machine, and obviously he has the winning recipe.
Yeah.
And to mimic that has been the number one thing I've learned from him. I will say me and Stipe didn't have like this buddy relationship at first, which I don't expect anybody to. I mean, he was a world champion, and I was not even in the UFC yet. He was friendly. He's always been friendly.
You guys just weren't real close or anything.
Yeah, I would say in the last 2 months we've gotten to a relationship where like if I'm doing something wrong, he shows me what I'm doing wrong and how to get especially when it comes to the ground stuff, because what people don't understand about Stipe on the ground is he's even better on the ground than he is on his feet, which is hard to believe because he's phenomenal on his feet. He has so many tricks that he shows me that I would say it's like having another coach in there for sure.
Nice. Hell yeah, he's definitely a good person to have your back.
Yeah, so he was great. He's great. He's the best in the world. He's the best to ever do it. So. All right.
I figure we'll just go one and one.
I got one. Frank Midgetley said, "What are your short and long-term goals in the UFC?" Obviously, the long-term goal is to be a champion. That's if you're not in the UFC to be a champion, then you shouldn't be fighting.
Agreed.
My short-term goal, I guess, this year would be to crack the top 15, to get three fights this year, win them all, crack the top 15, start making enough money to support my family, save some, there is that aspect of this is my job, and the only way to make more money at my job is to be better. So that's my goals.
Gotcha. I guess we can get the question from Josh out there. This is a question for both from Josh Griffiths. Mark, what made you come up with the idea to do a podcast with Jeff? I know you've done other pods, but this has been my favorite so far. And for you, Jeff, he says, after your fight with Spitz, will you, I guess he's saying, will you do everyone a favor and call out Greg Hardy and unofficially give that guy his pink slip? Because fuck that guy. And
not a Greg Hardy fan. Josh Griffiths is not.
That comment also got a heart and 2 likes from people, just so they know. But yeah, what made me come up with the idea to do a podcast with Jeff? I was doing a podcast with my brother Jerrod. We were doing Jay and Mark, and Jeff was kicking ass, and we had been talking recently, I think. And I don't know how it led to you coming on the show, but you went on Jay and Mark.
I asked to be a few times. Yeah, I asked to be a guest, which is probably
you were our first guest.
Petty
actually.
thing to do, but
no, I'm pretty sure we had talked about doing guests before, and you were one of the people we thought of, and I think you just brought it up before.
Because I never did a podcast. I always thought it, because I started getting into podcasts, and I was like, this is a good way to kind of talk to people about, instead of somebody asking me 100 times, when is your next fight, what's going on with fighting.
It's a good way to answer those questions on the record, and people get that if they watch it. Yeah. But the way we decided to do a pod, it wasn't really my idea. I liked podcasting with Jeff. He had been on Jay and Mark, I think, like two times at that point, and Jeff just said, "Hey, why don't we just do our own podcast together?" Every.
I wasn't trying to push Jerrod out, but
no, it's just like he liked doing the podcast, and he's like, "I'd like to
much.
do it regularly without just being like a third member on Jay and Mark." So I was like, "Fuck it." And
took a while to pick up though.
Yeah. And then I think your second time on Jay and Mark. Right after that, we shot the first episode of what wasn't complete. We didn't even have a name for it.
No.
And then we eventually just kept the same name we came up with in that one, just shortened it to JAMUP. And Jerrod was our first guest.
Yeah.
So that's how it happened, people.
And what was that, 2.5 years ago or so?
Yeah, it was just over 2 years now.
Yeah. Man, that was and now it's like, it's almost second nature. Like, okay, this Sunday I got podcast.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
even like, hey, when do you want to do a podcast again? It was like,
That's the first time we've not done it on a Sunday since
Yeah.
we decided to be more regular.
and the only reason is because I had school off today and you
Yeah.
didn't have to work. So
Snow day. Jeff is one of the few adults in the world that still gets to experience snow days.
yeah, it's awesome. So work at a school. There's more than just snow days that is awesome about it, but it's one of the benefits for sure. The second part of that question is I won't call anybody out on the mic after a fight because I think I've said this before as well. I think it's disrespectful to the opponent you just fought. I think it's disrespectful to the person that you're calling out, and I'm not in this game to be disrespectful to anybody. I have respect for every single person that has ever set foot in that cage, regardless if they should be there or not. But you know, if the matchmakers or the powers that be ask me, give me that option, who do you want to fight next? I don't know. I don't have anybody on my list, but I'm not opposed to telling them exactly who I want to fight.
Yeah. I mean, you're getting asked a question, you might as well answer. You're not calling anybody out. You're just answering the question.
So, no, I won't call anybody out, but, yeah, there's not a human on this planet that I wouldn't fight in a cage, so.
Gotcha. You got another one, sir?
Yeah, I got Terry Williams, who or what inspires, motivates you? It's not just one person. I would definitely say my daughter motivates me.
Of course.
Rachel motivates me. She's very motivating. But my coaches, Marcus Marinelli and Steve Tracek, those two guys, I mean, all my other coaches are very inspiring and they motivate me, but those two guys, like, on Saturday, I just did one of the hardest workouts I've ever done, and my 56-year-old coach, Marcus, did it with us. He went through hell with us, and if that's not motivation, I don't know what could possibly be more motivating than a 56-year-old man that obviously has more things wrong with his body than I do at 30. Yeah. He's doing the same exact workout as me, and he's pushing just as hard or harder. It's like that to me shows me like
that's pretty damn motivating.
That's motivating. That's motivating. Exactly. It's like if this guy's gonna do it, and he doesn't have a fight coming up, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna keep up with him, and that's all it is keeping up with a 56-year-old man. That if you ran into him in an alley, would be probably one of the last people you'd want to run into. Probably be the last person you run into in an alley, but that dude's a fucking...
Which is even scarier. Like, what are you doing in this alley?
Yeah, exactly. Why you guys hang out in alleys, you hoodlums? Yeah, so...
I guess another series of questions from Eric Perry. Again, you're going to hear his name a lot, I think. Pre-fight superstitions. Meal, song, anything?
No superstitions, but I like
Maybe
to keep
routine.
I have a routine. Lately, since I've been obviously fighting out of Ohio, I like to chill at the hotel. When we were in Vegas, I walked around a little bit. The couple days leading up to the fight, though, it was like we had to get a workout in. Nothing crazy, nothing to get hurt, nothing to just to break a sweat. I like to jog a little bit with some headphones on. Especially in Vegas, man, it was like 110, so it was literally like a 1.5 mile, 2 mile jog, and I was like, all right, I'm done.
Yeah.
But it was that's my only thing. And in the back, man, is like I'm known for being just like this stone cold, no, emotionless person. Like I don't get too high, I don't get too low back there, and I think I see a lot of people getting way too hyped and warming up an hour before they even go out there. It's like, what are you doing, man?
Yeah, you might as well just relax.
Like it's happening one way or another. There's no ways to get those nerves out until you step in that cage. So what's the point of even getting nervous? Like I don't even get. Of course you get the butterflies, but you don't get nervous. You don't get like. I hear people dry heaving and throwing up and looking for exits and like. Damn. A lot of these guys that can't. they get so worked up before they go out there that they almost lost before they even got out there.
Yeah, that seems like it's almost going backwards.
Yeah, it's just not. It's not good.
Yeah, I would imagine. If there's someone new listening or watching this, what 3 fights would you tell them to watch to best show them what MMA is all about?
Oh man,
Good fucking question.
I would tell them to watch Stipe versus Ngannou.
That's a good one.
There was a lot of hype around Ngannou, and Stipe just blew that hype train down.
Yeah, and he was running away. Basically, he's got his tail between his legs now. He was not the same fighter after that.
Yeah, he did. His last fight, he did come back and look good, but yeah, the fight after Stipe, it looked like the guy was still lost. Yeah. That would be one. Another one would be any Cowboy Cerrone fight.
For sure.
Because that dude has fun doing what he does. And you could tell, you could just look at his body language and know this guy has fun doing what he does. And another one would probably be the one that we all appreciate as fighters is Stephan Bonner and Forrest Griffin #1, because that's what put us on the map. That's what put UFC on the map. It's what MMA on the map in America.
Yeah.
So I give credit where credit's due on that fight. It's not, you go back and watch and you go, wow, that's not as good as I remember it being, but it's at the time, it's exactly what the world needed. You know, a slugfest, sloppy slugfest that the ratings went through the roof in that fight. Nice. From the first round to the second round, they times 10 because people were actually calling each other like, dude, turn on Spike right now.
Shit. Yeah, that says a lot.
Yeah.
This is a pretty good one too. Another one from Eric Perry. With eye poking happening a lot, do you think making a restrictive glove from extending a finger could be a solution? Still being able to lock in submissions, not just extend all the way straight. I personally think it fucked Stipe. He put in parentheses.
Yeah, I think so too. I think they do have designs out there to. There's designs where gloves you can only do this.
Yeah, which really just enough to grab.
You can still grab. This is still open, but
you
can't do
extend
this,
it out. So
right?
pretty much
it
just
stops
be like knuckling them.
I see with other organizations that use those type of gloves, there's a lot less eye pokes. But it is what it is at this point.
Do you think that maybe the UFC kind of doesn't try to eliminate that risk because maybe sometimes it works in their favor? Their guy that they want to push essentially might be able to win because of it.
I don't think they look at it as, let's see how this guy can illegally win the fight.
No, but they see it as like it could potentially help their interests.
I think it happens so little that it is very important that it doesn't happen, but it doesn't I think if it happened where every fight an eye poke was happening, like they would probably do something about it. But the fact that it's only happening once in a while, but we all remember it because it's only once in a while. Like if it happened every card, we wouldn't remember. We wouldn't be like, oh hey, remember that time that? Yeah.
It would just be it would almost just be like a normal move.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It would be like, oh, just another eye poke.
Oh, eye poke. You can add it to your.
But I think they can. Maybe they will work on a new glove. I heard rumors that they were. So.
Yeah, I heard rumors of that too, actually. But.
How do you say that name? Matt Delphia?
Yeah, sounds
Delphia?
like it. Delphia.
Like what made you? What made you want to be a fighter? I don't know. Being born, man. I've always been. Mark's known. I've always been kind of a scrappy dude.
Yep.
But to be an MMA fighter I always liked the UFC.
Yeah.
I started right around the Ultimate Fighter 1. I started getting into it and renting them from Hollywood Video because I was living on my own at 17.
Hollywood Video.
Yeah, and I loved wrestling. I only did it for 2 years, so I went and I said, man, I think I can be a fighter. And I said it in past shows that the first year I was a 17-year-old kid getting my fucking ass kicked on a regular basis, and I've almost quit a few times, but happy I didn't, obviously.
Gotcha.
Last one. Jeremy Harper. I definitely told him I'd do this.
Okay.
5 years ago, no gi at Evolve. Brian Jeffries, asked me about who was or wasn't training. He asked how you were doing. I said, Hughes, he's a waste of talent. Out of everyone here, he can get to the UFC, and he doesn't train or take it serious. You walked in, and Brian Jeffries, instantly stirred the pot and told you what I said. I admitted to it, since I meant it. How bad did you want to kill me? And did that have any impact?
Dude, this is a great one. I'm glad you saved this for last.
Yes, I wanted to kill Harper. I have a couple Harper stories that I can kind of tie in with this.
Okay.
I wanted to kill him, but it was true at the time because I wasn't training hard. I was at Evolve at the time.
All right.
Didn't have the training partners. Didn't have the coaching. Oh, I did have the coaching. I had Steve Tracek with me still. He was my stand-up coach. At the time, John Cook was the owner of the gym, and he was half foot in, half foot out, 1 foot in, 1 foot out type guy. Like, he was balls to the wall one week, and the next week he gave two shits less. I don't hold it against John. I mean, it's just what it is. What it is. Did it have an impact? Yeah, I would say moving to strong style had the biggest impact on me. Of really training like a champion.
I could imagine.
Training like a real fighter. But yeah, all that shit goes back to when I was talking about the chip on my shoulder, man. It's just another some more fuel for the fire.
Yeah.
I'm happy. I mean, Harper's cool. He's man enough to fucking ass it. He was man enough to admit to it that day too.
Yeah.
The one time though, this was probably 3-4 years ago. We were sparring. We were doing line sparring. It's when everybody lines up, and the guy in front of us, we spar for like a minute, and then that guy moves down. You spar another guy. He's a smaller guy. He's probably 5'7". At the time, he was probably about 220. He's a short, round guy.
Yeah.
But everybody used to try to take my head off because
Really?
I was the big guy. I was the most experienced. I was the guy that. Yeah.
They're trying to prove something.
They were. I don't know if it was to prove something, where they thought I can swing as hard as I want at Jeff. Well, he did, and he was wearing MMA gloves at the time, which you don't spar in MMA gloves.
Yeah, they're not boxing gloves.
And it literally glanced my chin, and I was like, and I remember there was a wall probably 10 feet behind him, and I beat him all the way to the wall. I punched him all the way, probably like 10 feet down the wall. He couldn't get off the wall. I just kept punching him. I was mugging him.
You
pretty
beat
much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was beating the dog shit out of him.
You're pissed.
And he finally falls down. I think I gave him one or two more. And he gets up, and you can tell he was upset about it. And then Steve Tracek, he stopped class. He said, "You see what happens when you try to unload on Jeff?" He goes, "He's a human. He's not a heavy bag. This is what happens when you try to hit him as hard as you want."
Shit.
And ever since then, from that day forward, everybody was like, okay, I can't hit him as hard as I can.
Okay. Well, now that, because I want to get this on an episode and on the record. I got a text message from Jeff about a week ago, really late at night, saying, "I take back everything I said about the Big Lebowski. It's amazing." Yes. All right? Now, with you having said that, next time you get pissed and that shit happens, the whole time I want you to say, "This is what happens, Larry. This is what happens." I want you to say that.
I did think of that. I was like, man, I get mad just like Walter.
That's who Walter is named after.
Yeah.
John Goodman's character in the Big Lebowski.
I do. I get mad just like him. I got one for you though.
Okay. This is a Jeff Hughes question.
This is Jeff to Mark.
Okay, cool. Shit, I forgot you one.
When can you get your license?
Oh my God.
So you can start driving. Do you need me to help you drive?
It's not about needing help, dude. I have anxiety. It's really hard for me to do it, especially in high traffic areas.
What can we do to maybe help
me.
this?
Legalize weed? I don't know.
It's almost there. It's almost there.
I mean, I could probably go see a doctor. They just give me some drugs that would make me different.
Yeah, you don't want that.
I've tried, dude. I've taken the test twice. I passed maneuverability, aced it first try. I took the driver's test twice, and I failed the same spot every single time because of nervousness.
What did you do? How did you fail?
There was a stop sign, right? I pulled up to it. I stopped. They said the first time I did it, it was a guy, and he said I was overly cautious. He said I was too cautious at the stop sign.
So you waited too long, is what he said.
Essentially, yeah. I looked too much. I, hesitated too much. I had anxiety. There was fucking cars and shit around. It was in like North Canton, where it's a lot busier sometimes, like or wherever. I can't remember where.
Canton
is it?
But
But
on
anyway,
Market Street, which is a busy area. That's probably why they do it there.
and he told me I was too hesitant, so I failed for that. Which I was probably pretty fucking nervous. I remember being that way. That's just the way I am when I'm behind the wheel. And the second time, it was a lady. I think this lady was just having a shitty day and was just being a fucking hard ass. But I did exactly what the guy told me to do. He said, don't be that cautious. So, I came up. There was no one at this intersection either this time. So, I didn't need to be that cautious. So I stopped at the stop sign, complete stop, looked both ways again, and went. She said I was not cautious enough. Yeah. That's like almost $50 I had spent now to take the fucking test twice. And it just discouraged the hell out of me. I was like, I don't think I'm...
How long ago was this? So years.
2009?
Okay. All right. Well, 10 years ago?
Yeah, somewhere around there. That may not be accurate.
My goal...
I did not expect this question.
My goal for 2019 is to get your temps.
I did have my temps.
We're going to go back and get our temps, and I'm going to take you on some roads and let you work out the kinks.
Oh shit! Should we make this like a vlog series? Should
Yes.
we chronicle this?
Yes.
All right,
There's
people.
nothing to be worried about. I'm going to tell you that driving
God.
sucks, but it's just like anything else in life that you're nervous about. The more you do it, the
But
less
see,
you get nervous
It's
about.
more than nerves, dude.
Okay,
It's
the anxiety.
I am physically the anxiety when it's bad. I am physically ill. Like my stomach hurts. I'm shaky. I'm
Right.
I'm not like that with everything, but that's a big.
You're
reason
gonna
why I
smoke a bowl
as much as I do.
You're going to smoke a bowl, and we're going to go driving.
All right. I'll give it a shot. Jeff,
Okay.
For you. If
All
there's
right.
anybody I'll give a shot for, it's you.
I will get us to a country road where there's nothing to worry about.
West
It'll
Virginia.
Be
Mount
West
Mama?
Virginia. Yeah. No, I will take us somewhere. I will teach you exactly how my dad taught me how to drive.
All right. You're gonna be my father.
Because
for a moment.
yes, before the time you were 33 years old, you will have your license.
All right.
You don't. The thing about it is, you don't. At this point in life, you still don't need to drive. But if you needed to, the option is there.
Yeah. All right. No, it's good. I don't have to drive. I don't have to buy a car. I know that's another thing that's an issue. I can't afford a car,
Right.
and I can't afford insurance every month and a car payment, maybe. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or whatever.
We'll work. I'm just saying though. But to have for that option to be there, rather than I can't do it because I can't drive.
Yeah.
I want you to have that option.
No, I get you, and I appreciate the
It's
the
not
effort.
it's not a knock on you or anything. It's just I feel like
No, you're not. You're
This
not
is
the
something
only
we can do.
person to ask me this question. There's been
please.
multiple girlfriends, other friends. You know what I mean?
for that.
What's the deal
Yeah,
here?
maybe sometime down the road you meet a nice girl. You want to take her on a date. You can drive.
I can actually do it. Yeah, I don't have to convince girls to meet
Pick
me
you
at
up.
my home. Or,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right, that's
Well,
my
good
only
to know.
question.
And I guess look forward to that, people. Welcome to Jam Up number 23. I am Mark. This is MMA superstar Jeff Lights Out Hughes and special guest Josh the Widowmaker Griffiths.
Yeah, don't
Widowmaker.
I
forget
didn't know
it.
what to say. That just came.
No,
to
there's
me.
like 5 people who won't forget it. So,
But yeah, that's all I got for that one, I guess.
Okay, I'm gonna just jump us into the last segment
All right.
with the memory lane. I want to talk. This is kind of an idea of mine. Because I would say we all hung out together in high school, but I felt like me and Josh hung out all the way since 6th grade, and then you kind of had a different group of friends there for in high school, and now we're back together, just hanging out all the time. But middle school, I felt like we were probably at our closest.
oh yeah,
Name one memory that you'll never forget about that involved.
Can I go first?
Yes.
Yeah, because I'm gonna have to think. I think.
I can't even get out. Remember when we all had to gather into the gym?
Oh, here it is.
Jeff running up the steps. And he just biffs it face first.
Yep.
The papers just.
Jeff always had his fucking duffel bag. He literally pushes Josh out of the way. Says, "Get out of my way," so he can run up the steps first or up the bleachers. And he literally slipped, fell flat on his face. He fell up the steps
In front of what?
in front of the
300
entire
400 kids?
Yeah, 300 kids.
Yeah, the entire middle school. And yeah, that's exactly what happened. Papers came out of his duffel bag, flew up in the air, and floated down like feathers, real slow to the ground. Everyone was laughing.
I didn't get up right away either.
No.
I just kind of sat there,
Probably
soaked
making
it all
noises.
in.
Oh man!
And I remember when I did get up, I was, of course, red faced, like, oh my God, everybody's laughing at me. And I turned around, the assistant principal, Mr. Alfredo, was laughing.
Even Alfredo was laughing.
And he goes, "You okay?" I'm like, yeah. Oh, fuck. This going to be a long day.
Yeah, that's one of the best.
Yeah,
One of the best.
that was a good one.
What about you, Jeffy?
Man, there's been a lot of memories.
Shit, we probably could have done this a whole episode.
Yeah, this
if
could have been
Right.
the episode.
Shit, we might have to do that.
I would say, best memory. This wasn't middle school, so it was high school. When did we start doing HW? Was that like 8th grade?
I think it was 8th grade.
Oh, was it that late? I thought we were doing it sooner than
It
that.
might have been. I think it might have been
Jerrod
7th grade.
Jerrod was a junior.
Yeah, but
So-
Jerrod came in later. We did it
It was
quite
7th
a few
and 8th
times
grade, yeah.
before. Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe even like end of 6th grade.
perhaps.
But yeah, middle
So
school.
I remember we
I'm
were.
trying to think of which AHW memory.
Yeah. I remember I was doing it at your house. It was so fun. And I remember, was it when Nathan wrestled without a shirt?
That was at his house.
Was
that
that
was
at
at
his
Nathan's
house?
house.
See, I probably wasn't.
You weren't
Yeah,
there.
you were in
Yeah, there was-
California.
Well, let me finish the story.
One summer, I was gone for 2 months during that whole thing. Actually, a couple summers.
It was a
I
couple
think.
summers.
I'm going to
yeah.
probably get some of the details wrong in this, but he was wrestling Jason.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
out of nowhere, like when we wrestled Nate, we kind of had like this little tent thing, and he comes out, Snake or whatever.
Snake.
This super, and he came out, and
Just
it's like
it was yesterday.
we
man.
all turned, and Nathan doesn't have a shirt on, and we're like, "What's he doing in there? Why is he?" What? So he starts wrestling, and he gets a bulldog.
I know exactly where this is going.
And he turns and he looks at like all of us and like I don't remember who had the camera, but he was like, "Hunt, hunt, hunt," and knocked the wind out of him. And we're all laughing because he's just jiggly
Without a shirt.
and he's so red. And he's like making this weird like gasping for air, and we're like, "Should we do something?" We're like, "Keep rolling, let's go."
Yeah.
And it might have been me, I don't know, but I looked down. It was me.
Yeah.
I looked down. I go, "Shit, we're not recording."
What's this? Why is this little red light on?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've
I think that was the
only-
line I used. Why isn't the red light on?
I've only ever heard the story, and I've heard the story multiple times.
Oh, and
So,
his
like,
ass
it's
crack
almost
was
like
hanging
I've
out
seen
the
it.
whole
Ass
time.
crack. He was wearing like Adidas sweatpants, like The
Yeah.
Rock, but like they
Yeah.
fit like Mark. They might have been Marks. And he walked out like,
I didn't wear Adidas sweatpants. So those are his.
who knows?
It was
who
just
they
like
were.
mid-match. He's just like
Took his
just ripped
shirt
it off
off.
like Triple H.
We're
And
like,
Oh yeah, he was a fan of those snap ups, the sides that he could just rip off.
those
Yeah.
were cool though.
Yeah.
I was too.
so he.
I like the shorts and pants that zip.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I forgot about
Those
those.
hot summer days.
So after the noise and stuff like that, he like, I was like, "Oh my God, we're not recording." And he turns and he's like, "What?" So
So
they
he
took
was
a break.
selling. That was him selling.
No.
Oh,
It
he
was
was not
really
selling
him.
it.
But this was like couple minutes later, I realized we weren't recording, and they went back. He put his fucking shirt on, and they went back and did the match.
It was all over. Nobody cared anymore.
Nobody cared.
That was.
And then I think it happened at your house again. He made the noise, but it wasn't nearly as memorable. But I know he got bulldogged again. I think this time it was from me.
Yeah, the second time was you.
And he was like,
What about the time? And this isn't my pick, but I was actually I wasn't there for that one either. This was also during that time period, I think. But Frenchie was so fucking scared of you after you. What was it?
I love this story.
You suplexed him off the trampoline or something?
Frenchie would not jump. So like, I think I went over there. I think Josh went. Were you over there for this?
I don't think I was. No, I was not there for
So
that.
my mom dropped me off, and it was me.
It was just practice, right?
Yeah, it was me, Nate, and Frenchie, and we were gonna wrestle for like an hour or two, and my mom was gonna come pick me back up. But Frenchie was like, I want to wrestle, and we're like, you don't jump, dude. We can't just throw you around. And
Yeah, he was a little scared of.
yeah, he was afraid of everything.
Yeah.
So I suplexed him like 3 times. German suplexed him like 3 times, and he would not jump. And on the 4th one, I was like, you motherfucker. And I just fucking put all ass into it as hard as I can. He jumped. He jumped on the 4th one.
Oh, God.
And he fucking folded himself up like a lawn chair, crashed on the steel bars, and gets up. He's all red. His hair is red. It like blends in. And he's like, he starts doing like this Native American Indian dance. He's like, and he like does it around the shed.
Because he's partially paralyzed.
He can't walk. And how I had no feelings back then. I was like, dude, you're all right. Come on. Right. And he's literally like skipping. Like,
I can't breathe.
And then after that, he was like frozen. Like I was like, come on, jump. He's like, no.
No. He would literally like fall to the ground anytime he tried to do anything. Super kick just falls to the ground.
Yeah, it just falls to the ground.
Fucking tried to pick him up at all. He just fell through your arms. Like, you couldn't do nothing.
Motherfucker jumped one time. And it was Brock Lesnar would
he
have been
regretted
proud.
it every day afterward.
He probably fucked up from it still. I don't know. I sent a picture of Frenchie that one day.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
But no, that was
Talk about Jeffrey Dahmer, dude.
Right? Yeah,
Like Jeffrey Dahmer.
a little bit.
glorifying a future.
Yeah.
I guess the one I can think of, since we're talking about the backyard wrestling days. I don't know if you were here. I don't know if you were there for this one though, but I know we got it on tape. Somewhere I have the tape of it. But we had done like 3 events that day. I think we did like a Monday Night Madness before a pay-per-view.
Okay.
We did a pay-per-view and then
Like
it was like Friday Night Warfare pay-per-view and then we shot the Monday night afterwards. And it was when Supernova went heel and we created, what was it, Fear Effect?
Maybe I
think
stole that.
you, me, and Joelberg.
Joelberg.
You and me were
I was there because
rivals.
Joel was there.
Yeah. That was like Joel's first time wrestling with us. He was fucking great.
You were there for most of it, but I don't know if you were there for the last part of the event or like the Monday night afterwards or whatever. But we had joined, and I was gonna leave to go to California, and I was faking a knee injury.
Yeah.
Walked out with a cane and shit, and for some reason my last match I think was gonna be about. I might be getting this all wrong, but I had a match against Nathan, and we recreated the thing where Jerrod Pryor had been thrown over the fence and he tumbled down the hill.
That was my spot
That was
first.
Jeff's spot.
That was Jeff.
Yeah.
But but at that
Such
point,
a bad spot.
it was not. There was thorns and shit, all kinds of sticks. Like it was
My
terrible.
spot first. He stole it
I
3
thought-
matches later.
I thought your spot was you got thrown into the fence and you just rolled right through
No,
it.
the fence
that
was
wasn't- that
the fence
wasn't.
was
He
kind of
rolled over
hanging.
it.
No, the fence was kind of hanging down. I was like,
Yeah.
I bet I can clear that. I was like, Shane, throw me off, and I jumped. I might have clipped it or something, but like I rolled and like I rolled.
We
Like,
could have so
couple-
easily been impaled
Yeah.
for doing that. There was literally just branches, sharp branches.
Yeah.
Like, we could've
Jared's the one that went all the way down the hill. I only rolled like probably 5 feet into the thorns.
Yeah. Well out of frame.
we
And
recreated
I remember
that.
Josh ran over and was like,
I thought you might have been dead by that point. I knew
thought it was
down
a
there.
pretty sweet bump.
It was a dangerous spot. Apparently, it happened more than I thought, though, I guess. But we recreated that. Apparently, it happened every couple events. But told Nathan to throw me down. I did it. I remember I lost my shoe immediately. First time I hit, my shoe came off, and I kept going and rolling. And I think since you and me had teamed up at that point, I think you went down there and tried to get me, and you lifted me up and was helping me come back up the hill.
Yeah.
But as I did it, there was a big ass. When I found my shoe on the way up, there was a fucking rock in it. And I was like, oh shit, there's a rock in my shoe. And I pulled the rock out and I just randomly tossed it. And then all of a sudden it goes and it goes out of my vision. All of a sudden you just hear Nathan go, ow! What the fuck? And Nathan immediately broke kayfabe. Like, turn the camera off. He lost it. He was so mad at me. And I don't even think, like, somehow we were just bitching, breaking kayfabe. Like, what the fuck, man? That hit me in the
Dude, we can't see anything. We can barely see the fence, like from.
Oh, it's a
there.
straight down cliff.
Yeah.
No, it's quite.
And then
quite
on the
an
other
angle.
side is legit like a cliff. It's straight up and down, like it's a valley.
Yeah. Not only that, but at the bottom there's just like sewage water, like just
Yeah,
shitty,
it's just-
leafy,
it's all bad.
nasty water. But as we're coming up and we're walking around, I'm making my way back around the fence to go through the gate and shit. Nathan's bitching at me. I'm like, I just threw it randomly. I wasn't trying to hit you. You just happened to
You happened to be there.
But then and then we just kind of like slowly went back into the match.
Yep.
And like that was just there. We just breaking kayfabe for 5 minutes was the centerpiece of the match. Like, that's my memory. But I don't know if you were
I don't
actually
know.
there.
Yeah,
for
do we
that.
have,
I
like,
think
these-
you left.
Yeah, I probably had to go to basketball or football or something.
Because
Stupid.
there was
I don't
only
remember
like
how old we were.
I remember there was only like 4 or 5 people in that part of it, and it was like Joel, Josh, me. I think
Shane was Shane there at that
Shane might have
time.
been
Shane
there.
probably would. Yeah,
Jason.
because that's where Shane's botch. Rewind it.
Yeah, he did like the whole Psycho Sid. He's like, oh, just rewind it. They're like, no, just keep going. Huh?
And we never did it again. We were just
No.
like, fuck it. Shane's not going to
It's
do
fucking
this.
terrible.
But
Shane's 3 top moves is almost as many as Roman Reigns. He just pushes,
Yep, the push.
and then you start to get up. He pushes you again, and then the one with the cookie sheet leg drop.
Yep, yeah, the cookie sheet or like whatever the
He would do
street
it was
sign.
a kick. He would move it like a skateboard, and he would leg drop you.
Shane with his yellow security hat that was Joel's, but he stretched it all out. The security was like all like wavy.
It was
because
wonky at
stretched
that
out.
point.
God, I miss Shane. We need to get Shane on here.
What?
No?
Did I ever tell you about that?
Maybe we can steal some of his video games.
Oh yeah, you did. There's actually, I even made a timestamp for it in the one episode. It was like Shane is deaf.
He is. Huh?
Like, huh?
Dude, I told you when I went in there to see him and his dad, I was talking to his dad. I was like, all right, where's Shane at? He's like, oh, he's on the top floor. And I was like, let's go up and see him. I haven't seen him in so long. Get up there. He walks past me. I'm like, walks past me again. I'm like, this fucking dickhead. Better. I'm like, finally, he walked past me again. I smacked him on the back. I'm, yo! He's like, oh, hey, what's up? I'm like, dude, how baked are you right now?
Jesus. Fucking Shane.
But he's just sitting there, his fucking eyes are as bloodshot as can be. And he's like, literally, you could, like, the wheels are smoking in there. Like,
The wheels are
who am I
smoking.
looking at?
So
Oh, hey, my longest friend, guy I've been friends with since kindergarten.
Yeah, dude. Shane's that guy for a few people, I guess. Shane was my first friend when I moved to Canton.
You guys and Shane and Andy.
Andy Larkin.
Yeah.
That was, we were the bad kids. Shane was like the good one on the
Yeah.
bus. We were bad.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
he had the internet, so he became the bad kid. We had to look at boobs, so
Like, yeah.
Shane's like, "Oh, just go watch Pokemon." We're like, "Let's just hop on this
All
porno
right.
website real quick."
Oh my God, his dad took me one time. He's like, I need to talk to you because I was always over there. I'm like, yeah, no problem. Pulls me aside. He goes, so I looked at the browser history, and I'm like, instantly go, oh. It's like worse than when your like girlfriend picks up your phone. You're like, oh fuck.
The gif I sent you of Brock Lesnar.
I sent that to you.
No, I sent that to you.
You sent that to me?
Yeah,
I sent it to
you.
somebody.
Yeah,
I
must
sent it to Zach. I thought it was, dude, I laughed. I was in class laughing at it. I'm like, oh my God.
I'll have to show you, Mark.
Yeah, I don't know what you guys
dude,
are
that's
talking
the feeling I had when Shane's dad, and he was like, there will be no more internet. There will be no more video games. And he's like grounding me when I come over. I'm like, okay, all right. But like Shane's dad he's awesome. Like he's like the nicest guy.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Nice. He likes to talk your ear off, but he's the nicest guy.
Right.
No, I mean, fuck. We went to like every single one of Shane's birthday parties at Laser Quest, and Shane's dad was cool. So was his mom. His mom was sweet as hell.
Awesome,
Even
yeah.
his sister Laura was awesome.
Yeah, Laura was nice. Still, I mean, like when I went into Pro Dec, I'll just say hi to him, and I talked to the family. Like I didn't really like miss a day with them. I was just like,
Yeah,
hey.
yeah.
And they were real cool. And he, Shane's the last guy I thought would ever have kids.
I
He has
know.
2 of them and a wife, and we know the wife.
Mm-hmm.
She exists. She's real.
She's
She's
real.
real
She's a
life.
real
She's
woman.
very cool. I like
I
her.
went to sophomore homecoming with her as friends.
Yeah,
of course.
yeah.
as
Oh,
friends,
you did.
of course.
Oh, so we went to school with her.
No,
No, she was in Perry.
she was
Oh,
in Perry.
that's right,
A
yeah.
bunch of like Brandon and all them started dating these girls, and we just kind of went. It was fun.
Small fucking world, man.
Did they meet at one of our parties?
I think so.
Wow. Love
look at us.
connection. Good job,
I
guys.
think that was
Yeah.
it. Yeah, I think that was.
We'll
it.
take
I think
responsibility for it.
Oh, you remember the one Louisville party I had? It was probably 9th grade. Or maybe it was probably 10th grade because they came. Like there was Sarah, Brittany, and another girl. I don't remember her name. But like we all was eating Armano's pizza, and I think my dad put a bunch of hot sauce on the one girl's pizza, and she ate it.
Oh yeah.
And she was like rolling around on the ground. Like
I do
dude,
remember
she chomped
that.
it. She ate this pizza so fast, and it was like really hot sauce was on.
Ooh. So
And
she was like on fire.
Oh,
She
my
was stop,
dad's
dropping,
sitting
and
there
rolling.
laughing his ass off, just laughing and laughing and laughing. He thought it was the funniest shit he's ever seen.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, any more stories, guys? You got any?
We got plenty.
Yeah, I
We
mean,
got plenty.
how late you want to run this?
Yeah.
I got stories for days.
We still got time, man.
Yeah, let's hear
Now
another
we're
one.
36.
Okay, all right. Just talking about it. I texted you not long ago about the special needs group in Faircrest. It was like the behavioral kids.
Oh yeah, the Billmans.
Yeah, the walking
Billmans.
Newports.
The walking Newports.
Wow.
Remember, what was it? Arthur?
Yep.
The little black kid?
Yep.
Yeah!
Oh, that's
Get out of here, Billy Blanks.
that is. I remember that. Oh my god. Specifically, get out of here, Billy Blanks. I remember.
Yeah, dude.
Oh my god.
So we were all in the same gym class for
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And he's like, we're in the locker room, and he's literally doing a karate thing, and he's kicking, and he's like, he has, he's really into it. I don't know.
He just like straight armed him into the locker.
Like, boom.
Get out of here,
Billy
Billy
Blanks. Billy Blanks was,
God.
he was at the time.
He was-
it was
he was huge
relevant.
at the time.
It made sense.
Yeah.
No.
We were proud of myself,
Fuck Mr. Laughlin and what's her nuts used to fucking put on Taibo in gym class, and we would do Taibo in gym. It was extremely relevant.
Those were the days I'd get
Yeah.
kicked out.
Yeah,
I'd be like, nah. I'd say something. I'd be like, no. I'll never forget. Her name was Miss Catlett. I do believe she passed away.
Yeah.
I got one.
We were playing ping pong, and I kept fucking smashing the ball, and she's like, Jeff, do not smash another ball. And I was like, and somebody, I want to say it was Justine. She smacked her ball off her table, and I grabbed it and I pinned it against the backboard and just smacked. And she was so quiet. And she was like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Oh fuck." Well, 5th time was a charm.
See, the best part about this is I picture like 14-year-old Jeff. You know what I mean?
This fat kid with a bowl cut.
I could fucking jump though, dude.
Like the bowl cut swinging when he.
Yeah, it was fucking awesome, man. I had hair. Shut the fuck up about my hair. I wish I had a bowl cut now.
God, I wish. I gotta find that picture of you and Shane at like Kings Island or something back in the day, and like
We had
just put it right
sunglasses
here.
on. Dude, I had like Janko shorts on. Fucking sweet.
It was the best.
5th grade.
Shaden looked like a teddy bear or something. You could see like his hair's just like sticking straight up, and you can see the light through it. It's just
a lot of gel in that hair.
I don't
That
know.
was so cool.
Those were the days, man.
That was so much fun. I used to get in so much trouble. You got in a fair amount of
I
trouble.
got in a little bit of trouble. I was in
Mark,
a
you
little
were
bit of
good in
trouble.
middle school. It was high school that year.
High school, I got in trouble.
Dude,
Yeah.
I'm
Sophomore
paying
year.
for what I did in middle school because I was constantly in trouble, and now I work at a middle school and I'm like, fuck, that was funny, but I gotta yell at you.
Karma, man.
Yeah.
Welcome to Jam Up number 26. I am Mark Thomas. This is MMA superstar Jeff Lights Out Hughes and special guest Matt Trukovich. I don't have a little name to insert in there for you. So,
The man.
the man.
The man.
Matt the man Trukovich.
Just Matt.
And this is Jam Up number 26.
This is a big episode for me, especially. I've been wanting to do this a while with Matt, and I'm happy that we finally got it all squared away. I know it's a big day for Mark. It's 420.
Excellent.
Yeah, I actually haven't celebrated quite yet.
Okay.
I'll do it after the show.
All
He's
right.
keeping it professional.
Yeah. Very nice.
Good.
What other shows do you guys like?
Oh, shit. Right now it's hard to think of any other show.
You ever watch OA?
I tried to get in the second
People have
season.
told me about it. I haven't.
Yeah.
OA's real good.
Did you like the second season?
Yeah.
I maybe watched the first 5 minutes and I fell asleep. But the first season, I loved it. And I actually read something you put on Facebook about it is why I started watching it.
Yeah. Cool.
And it was just weird.
It's weird.
I like weird too.
The movements throw a lot of people off because it looks kind of hokey. But
It does, yeah.
It's very cool, and they did their homework. The second season, the first episode has nothing really to do.
Okay.
It appears to have nothing to do with the first season. So you have to, and then the second season, they kind of go back and forth each episode. So the first episode will introduce you to the new story. Second ties back into the old one. Third, and then it all comes together. But it's about. Do you know about it?
No. I've
Explain
heard
it because
about
you would know it better than I do. I only watched it one time through.
So it's a show about near-death experience and like our mystical powers. Basically, you ever seen Flatliners?
No.
Well, this group of people kill themselves and then they study their near-death experiences.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of like that, except for a doctor like kidnaps these people and then kills them and then studies their.
So it's more like a sadistic experiment as opposed to like something they're doing on their own.
Voluntarily.
Gotcha.
Exactly. But when they're in these NDEs, they're getting messages on how to get out of the situation that they're in and tap into their psychic abilities or whatever.
Gotcha.
It's far out.
Very Assassin's Creed-like is what it's sounding to me. Kind of like, well, they're just getting fed information in this weird world to the point where they can manipulate it and shit like that.
I had no idea. So I was talking to somebody about this. It wasn't OA, but just about our hidden potential.
Yeah.
And they're like, that's Assassin's Creed. I'm like, I'd never played that game, but it sounds badass.
There's a bunch of them.
Yeah.
They're hard to follow, but yeah, it's something similar to it.
Yeah, it sounds a lot.
So when
like
in the first one, when they died, weren't they? Did he drown them? Is that how he killed
he
them?
had like a
mask over him.
Yeah, like a reverse. You know, like the old deep sea diver headsets.
Yeah.
He would fill it with water and
Oh,
drown them
shit.
like that.
Yeah.
It's wild.
It was.
No thanks.
I really enjoyed the first season. I'm gonna go back and probably watch because it's been. I mean, they took what a 2-year
Yeah, I didn't
break
know if
in
they were gonna come
between.
back
I
or
didn't think
not.
so either.
Yeah,
because they kind of ended the first season on like it wasn't so much a cliffhanger as it almost felt like it was just done.
Closure. Yeah,
Yeah.
they could have left it alone.
Yeah, I actually thought it was canceled because when it first came out, a lot of people were recommending it to me, and I was like, I usually wait until there's like a second season before I get into something, and then I didn't hear anything about it forever, and then just recently somebody brought it up again.
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't even know that was still around.
And you got into Black Mirror, correct?
Black Mirror is
Yeah,
awesome.
that's another one I need to get into.
You haven't watched any of those?
No, and I tried to, and it's just sometimes life is so busy, but like I have to binge watch it to get into it.
Don't binge watch Black Mirror.
No?
No, it's
You
bad
don't-
for your mental health.
You don't
Oh,
even have
jeez.
to because they're all different.
Yeah, they're not sequential.
So,
Okay.
you could really watch them in whatever order. I would watch them in the order they come out because it does take place in its own little like world. and like you learn a little bit more about that world as the episodes come out. So like if you went and watched something in like season 4, they might be referencing something from like season 1 that you don't understand.
Okay.
So you get more out of it by actually watching it the way you're supposed to.
I always tell people to start with episode 3. Episode 1 and 2, they're like, are they UK? They're like,
It was
Yeah, the whole
that's
first
what I
season
realized
was
it was
kinda
British.
UK.
yeah, it's British. So the first 2 episodes are like, what the?
The first one's really fun.
It's just really bad. Not bad as in horrible
Just
quality,
crazy.
just crazy story.
Yeah.
So I start with 3. I ran all the way through them, and then went back and watched 1 and 2.
Okay, that's what I'll do then.
They're a little more palatable, I guess that you could say.
Yeah, the whole like shared world thing doesn't really come in until like the later seasons, but yeah, it's.
We're so close to that stuff and that story.
Oh, I know.
And all right, so it's
You
like-
guys could probably talk about this a lot. This is something you guys can agree
I'm
on.
gonna tell you one of my favorite episodes. I'll give you a little bit of
I wonder
a
which one
plot
it is.
twist.
I wonder if it's mine.
So this girl, they're young, married. Her husband dies in a car wreck.
Okay, I know this.
She's lonely, depressed, grieving like a normal person would, and she finds this app that can talk to her from her husband's perspective. So what this app does is it goes into your social media and then puts together algorithms and would respond the way that you would respond.
Okay.
Because it understands your nature by your social media interactions. So she's on her computer and conversating with her dead husband, basically, but it's algorithms,
Holy shit.
right? So she's basically re-falling in love with her husband that's not there anymore. The app contacts her and says, there's another level to this game. And that comes across her screen. And then the next scene that you notice, there's a box that comes through the door. A huge crate. She opens the crate and there's her husband. Like in plastic form. He looks just like a human.
But it was like a dummy, pretty much.
Right.
Right.
It's-
He's a cyborg.
Kinda
Oh,
like,
okay.
Yeah,
So
like
now-
a living one of those sex dolls almost. Yeah.
Like a sex doll. So now the algorithms are running through him in like a robot form.
Oh,
Yeah,
Jesus.
we're so close to that. Like the technology, that's what really gets you about that show. Is it's not so far out. Like it's 5-10 years from now. Like
Yeah.
these technologies could be right there.
And that's scary because like like you said, it could happen. So people are that like I almost feel like the human body needs like that grieving and all that like to really understand itself completely, and like you don't have to deal with that anymore. If like somebody died, say your mother died, and you're like, I miss my mother, and they can send you your mother, like it's just as good as the old thing.
There's
It's just fucking weird to me.
my favorite episode actually won an Emmy, which I was really happy about. But that's the reason I actually remember the name of the episode. But it's called San Junipero. Can't remember. I think it was like season 3 or whatever.
It's my daughter's favorite episode.
Is it? All right, so he knows what I'm talking about. I love this one so much. Like I wish this shit was real because I want to do it. But essentially, people can upload their consciousness into like a hard drive and go in this digital world and be in whatever time period they want, and they could be as old as they want. So like I could be like a 90-year-old dude, go back to the 90s and live as myself, and then like late teens as the 90s and shit, or in the 90s and shit, and everyone in this world is that, like you're living in this time period. Or you could go to the 80s, you can go to the 70s, whatever. And essentially, when you die, you can choose to just upload your consciousness in there and just live there, essentially in
Choose
heaven.
your heaven.
Yeah.
Like to the point where like it changed my perspective on the song "Heaven is a Place on Earth," like because that song is in there, and that's how the whole episode ends, is with that song, and that is essentially is the concept of the whole episode, is that you can either die or do whatever happens after you actually die, or you can go to this own private heaven you want to, or you can do it while you're alive. Fuck it.
Yeah, that's what they do. They actually they're older and they test out these different spots. But like you were saying with the grandma, so you're eliminating the grieving process, which is human. My fear is those whatever we create becomes conscious, and then we have consciousness that's trapped. That's why I would never upload my consciousness into something.
Yeah.
Because what if you, no matter how much you love this heaven and how specific it is created, you're going to grow tired of it.
Yeah.
I think it's important to have death and rebirth and if you trap consciousness into something, I think that might be the end game. You know?
Yeah. No, see, I don't know if I would want to like let my body die and live on throughout that, but I would definitely like to experience that, like in like now at this age or whatever, you know. But I think I would still choose to die and see what, because even with that not existing now, I still wonder what happens when you die and shit. Like eventually, I'm gonna choose to die. Yeah. I think.
I don't know if it's non-existent though. That's the thing. Like, how much do they know that they're not telling us?
That's the risk, right? Yeah.
Like the one day I came over and you thought we were in the Matrix or something. Remember that? You're like, I'm starting to think we're in the Matrix.
Dude, every day I think more we're in a simulation. Some things work out way too conveniently or just seem to sync right up.
Well, how funny. Weird. How funny is shit. Like, there's little pokes of comedy. That shouldn't be comedy.
Yeah.
Like, ain't that Wiener guy sending dick pics? Like,
yeah, his name is Wiener, and he's known for sending dick pics.
Yeah, and Trump being the president, and then it tied into The Simpsons, and
oh yeah, that's true.
From Back to the Future. All this shit is like, it's like a little wink.
Yeah. Have you actually heard that Baron von Trump conspiracy or whatever? There was a book written like a long ass time ago, and it basically describes the rise of Donald Trump, except for the whole reason it's happening is because he time traveled. Like, it's ridiculous though how similar the story is.
It's an old book then, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it's. I think it's like the something of Baron von Trump or some shit. Just look up Baron von Trump or Trump conspiracy, and you'll look at it. Dude, it's crazy just how similar it is. All right, ridiculous.
So we know we're gonna be able to create virtual reality that's indistinguishable from reality. That's coming. You're going to put a headset on and not even know that you have a headset on.
Yeah.
Who's to say that that's not already happening?
That's what I think about also.
Oh, they say that.
Like, did I sit down 10 years ago and I'm living this life, and then eventually they're going to take it off and they're like, okay, now figure it out. I'm like, what? Wait a minute.
You might not ever take it off.
Yeah.
Like the name of the game might be to create the next version of consciousness. And then you know, humans as we know them fade away, and then we created the next version.
Shit.
It hasn't always been. Humans haven't always been like we are today.
Right.
I mean, we know that. We know enough of that, and there's a lot we don't know about the past. But this could happen over and over and over again, like a silkworm. Like a silkworm will blindly consume a leaf until it throws up, create a cocoon, and now it's a butterfly.
Mm.
Does the silkworm know what it's doing? Like, we're just kind of blindly consuming, chasing technology.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
For all we know, we're doing it right now. Like, when we die, we wake up and we're like, oh, yeah, I forgot.
Of course.
You know? Like, it's crazy.
It's too trippy, dude. It's like, is this really... Like, I don't think about it on a normal basis, but sometimes I do. Like, when the day he was like... He was all about it. He's like, dude, we live in a simulation. And I'm like,
well, the thing
I started thinking about, like, maybe we fucking do.
It's Elon Musk. Elon Musk said it on Joe Rogan. He was like, I'm starting to think more and more every day that we live in a simulation. I was like, if Elon Musk thinks that, there's got to be something to it, right? But maybe not.
Well, there's the astrophysicist. I can't remember the guy's name, but he said the entire universe is binary. It's a code of ones and zeros. It's just like computer code. I think about it a lot. Probably more than I should, but I spend a lot of time by myself. But I think about a lot of that shit.
That was like one of the I definitely wanted to talk MMA on this because that's kind of goes hand in hand with you. But like I knew, like I want to know you went to India. You guys both went to India, correct?
Just me. She didn't go with me.
She didn't go.
No.
What did that? Obviously that changed your life and the way you think, right?
Yeah. The events leading up to India. The events leading up to India gave me the courage to go to India. And then when I was in India, I realized how much the power of culture and environment. Because I spent most of the time... All right, so here's the backstory of India. Because everyone's like, why the hell did you go to Hyderabad? I had a coworker who was from Hyderabad. He was Muslim. Him and I talked about a lot of conspiracies, religion, the empire that is America, just getting a Muslim's perspective of it. He says, my brother's getting married, and it's going to be a traditional Muslim wedding. You can come, pay for your plane ticket, and stay at my house. And I was like, oh, hell yes, man. I jumped on that. I go to India. All the older people my age, they're busy with the wedding. So I spent most of my time with like 16 to 19-year-old. And this is a super conservative Muslim neighborhood. Like, all face coverings. No, you don't talk to any of the women. And so I got to talking to these kids, and they were just like American kids, except for they were Muslims. They were, all of their belief systems was because of where they were from, their neighborhood. So I started to question my thoughts, my beliefs. We're a Christian nation. We believe, we're proud flag flying people and all that shit. All of that comes down to just your culture, where you're from. Mm-hmm. So that led me into questioning my narratives, questioning what it was that I believe. And then I've studied religion for probably like 7 years. I didn't grow up in the church, but I went to church as a teenager to get out of my house, So I always knew there's more to the package than what they were telling you at church. Like, that was almost like a kindergarten version of Christianity. No offense to anybody, but that's how.
No.
It's the best way for me to say.
Yeah, I am. I'm like lost. I don't know what there is, if there is. I'm one of those people that I need to know answers to, but I know I'll probably never find what really happens until the day you die.
Well, it's like what he said. I think when you die, you just chuckle and say, "Of course." I think that happens over and over and over again.
Yeah.
What I think this is the Creator, whatever that is. Not everyone, but most people are going to see a gray bearded man in the sky when you say Creator. I don't think it's anything like that. The human mind can't conceive of God. But if the three of us created a car, we built this car. The closest we're going to get to understanding what it's like to be that car is to drive it. Mm-hmm. But if you're omnipresent, you could actually become that car. How can you feel what it's like to be something that you created? Consciousness. So the Creator is consciousness living through all of us.
Yeah, and then it's like the whole like we are all sparks of God, essentially, like people say.
Spark of divinity.
Buddhists, yeah.
Everyone has the spark of the divine.
We all make our way, but we're basically just gathering information. God is living vicariously through all of us.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's why Jesus can say, "I'm the Son of God," just like all of you are.
And he did say that.
Yeah.
I've read the New Testament. I've read all the Gnostic Gospels. He constantly said that. He never said that I am the only Son of God.
No.
I have this actually, Psalms 82:6 tattooed on me. Mm. The Pharisees come to him and they say they're going to stone him. He said, "Why are you going to stone me? For which of my good works are you going to stone me?" And they said, "For the good works, we're not going to stone you, but for blasphemy, because you said you're the Son of God." Mm. And he says, "Your book says that we are all sons of the Most High." And that's Psalms 82:6. We're all sons of God. That's why the reason he was crucified is because he told people that. And then the Romans switched the message. They said, they put him up on a pedestal. Jesus is the only Son of God. You're nothing. Let's get back to business.
Jeez. I think it's
crazy how it all works.
I tried to watch, you can only...
Well, a lot of people aren't comfortable going into that.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Too. Because when it comes to it, I'm stupid when it comes to all that stuff.
Well, when it comes down to it, I could talk about all different aspects of it because, I just don't know. It's all just as possible as the other.
Exactly.
Just like aliens created us all. That's just as crazy as God creating us all. You know what I mean? If not the same thing.
Well, you grew up in a very Christian house, right?
Yeah. I went to church every Sunday and Wednesday all the way up until I didn't have to.
Or you didn't have doors in the house?
Well, we had doors in the bathroom, but yeah, we had curtains. We had little part of the podcast about this too. Mark grew up without doors.
Yeah, it wasn't always on the bathroom though.
No. There was at one point there was also a curtain on the bathroom.
It was very awkward taking a shit in your house.
My brother-in-law coming to stay for a week that there was we need to put a bathroom because he was very self-conscious about it.
Why was the mirrors what was the curtains? No masturbation?
Pretty much, or just wait till somebody left, or yeah, very.
What does that sound like a curtain, Mark?
Just looking around constantly. That's what it was. But
the church is what I've seen. I've talked through barbering. I'll have these conversations with young people, and there's people that go to church, involved in the church, that agree wholeheartedly with what I say, what I think that I've found or whatever. This is not. And these aren't any huge revelations. If you look, all religions say the same thing across the board. They just can't. They don't share notes. Oh, our guy said that. Our guy said that too.
Yeah.
They always have to be the right guy. But
That
if you,
drives me crazy about religion.
you compare them, they're all saying the same thing.
Exactly. They're
And the
some
truth-
of them are saying the exact same thing, like telling the exact same stories.
Same story, yeah.
That's what I always, like I said, I'm really uneducated when it comes to all this. I like listening more than I like to actually read on stuff. So like this is all very fascinating. But I noticed that every religion has something to do with the sky. And I said, I was talking to my mom about it. And I was like, there has to be something to that. They're always talking about something coming from the sky, something, and I'm like, what is that? So I just feel like you said, like they all kind of are very similar, but they won't admit that they're similar with each other.
And you said coming from the sky. I just listened to American Cosmic, the Audible book, and what that book goes over is comparing Christian religious mystical experiences to, say, alien abductions. And they're very similar experiences except for the culture and the wording, how you describe it. Like if you say you're a UFO guy, you're into aliens, you watch all the alien shows, and you have a mystical experience, you're gonna say, "My God, dude, there's aliens here last night." Like, you wouldn't believe it. Yeah. And then if you're 65 and you grew up in the Catholic Church, you're gonna say that you saw Jesus.
Yep.
God came and talked to me. Yeah.
Yeah. My friends in India would say that Allah came here, or Muhammad. They saw Muhammad.
Yeah. Well, there's Indian stories where they don't even hide that it was some flying thing in the sky. Like they have a word for it called vimanas, and which is basically the word vimana means a flying chariot in the sky, which at a time would not exist in in that. You know what I mean? Like there's
a
story
chariot because they didn't have salt. There's no saucer.
And essentially because chariots had wheels and it was like shaped like a wheel or something. I don't know. All I know is that they actually have tales that are in their religion of giant battles in the sky between the gods and shit. Which is crazy. Right. It's so crazy. They have artwork depicting it. Not only that, but Indian artwork is fucking incredible. Yeah, it is. Some of the best like religious artwork you will ever see.
It's ahead of its time.
For sure.
Or it's not.
I mean, it was so like seeing a detailed like blue elephant man is way back then is pretty insane. As weird as that sounds.
And well, that's exactly what the Hindus believe.
Yeah. Like Baba Ganoush or whatever.
Yeah, like so their gods have all these arms and heads.
The Ganesh, that's what it was.
Yeah, Ganesh.
Like Baba Ganoush is like a term somebody said on something.
It's a Sopranos term, I think.
It has all these heads and arms, so it can't, like the left arm doesn't know what the right arm is doing. God is all of us, it's all tentacles. God is everything, the trees, the grass, whatever. That's what the Hindus believe. There's one source energy and it feeds the rest of us.
Now I'm going to have to YouTube all this stuff. I swear, this is what I'm doing tonight. I know what I'm doing
Dude,
tonight.
and I bet you could YouTube every single bit of it.
Oh, for sure. There's a lot on there. But even the Christian doctrine, the Old Testament, talks about the sons of man came and mated with the women. That's why God flooded the earth, because the sons of man came down and mated with women. So there was gods that came out of the sky, slept with women, and God's like, no, that's
not what we're doing.
Yeah.
And the Great Flood the story is consistent across cultures.
Oh yeah.
Was the whole earth flooded? Hell no, but there was a huge problem. And science says that's when the glaciers, the ice age ended.
Ice age, okay.
Melted off and water levels rose.
So do you think the earth is as old as it is, or? Because I know there's a lot of people out there that don't think the Earth is. They think it's like 5,000 years old.
Yeah, new Earthers. No, it's old. It's older than. I think it's probably older than science thinks it is. Oh. And that's another thing. Is like, you ever watch One Strange Rock on Netflix? Mm-mm. That's a great show, people.
All right,
I've heard about it, but
but it's scientific. It goes into science about how the Earth was created, and it almost sounds like they're reading from Genesis. Like you can. Because they'll say that in the beginning, Earth was just carbon, and then there was water on the Earth, and then eventually bacteria in the water came crawling out. We all started as I don't remember the name of it, but basically water cells, and then Genesis says in the beginning it was dark, and the consciousness moved across the water. It's like
it's saying the same thing in different words.
Yep.
it's like science and spirituality pretty much just go hand in hand. You just got to connect the dots somehow,
or
the science hasn't gotten there yet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because there's science now that backs up consciousness that people would have never believed 30 years ago.
Right.
When like gurus and shit were talking about it.
Yeah, science is starting to confirm what the mystics have been saying forever. which is fascinating.
What a time to be alive, man.
It is the greatest time.
What's 50 years from now going to look like, though? You know?
Absolutely terrible. No, it's gonna be that. We're going downhill. We're devolving.
It's gonna get worse.
No, I don't know. I
think
not.
we get better. I do
too.
No, it's definitely gonna get better.
I have a few theories. I think we're headed back to Eden. We're heading back to the garden. But sometimes I think that we might see a species split. Like we might see humanity go two different directions.
Oh, so you're saying like almost like a new stage of evolution?
Yeah, well, like and where I live, there's Amish. They never adopted electricity, motor cars, or anything. So there's going to come a time when we're already relying on our artificial intelligence, our technology.
Like
there's going to have to come a time when the species is going to have to really commit to it, and I don't think that there's going to be a lot of people that won't sign on.
Yeah. There's going to be basically human-machine hybrid people. Like they're going to start like integrating the technology into their biology.
I think we're super close to that already.
Yeah, that's already happening. There's
like,
people doing it at home themselves.
15 years from now, are we even going to have phones? Yeah. Are we just going to go?
Just gonna have chips.
I know what I want to say to this guy, so
that's why you need to watch Black Mirror, man.
Yeah. All right.
That's why you need to watch Black Mirror.
All right. Yeah. Like instead of like me waiting around to hear from Mark about what time we doing this, I can just be like, oh, he wants to do 4:00. Okay.
You're not gonna want to be in my head after a while, though, man.
So when you said you think when we die, you just say of course.
I think that's a good possibility. Yeah.
So who's to say we create this technology and you're communicating with each other telepathically, and once you do it, you realize that we have that potential in the beginning.
Yeah.
Because there's already people that can remote view, or you get a gut feeling when someone. You ever get a gut feeling or think of somebody and there they are? They text.
They text or they call. Yeah. Yep. Or you run into them the next day. Yeah.
So we might be creating a better version of human that we already were at one time. So I just think
I actually just had an experience similar to it today happened.
This is a good 420 conversation.
It really is. It really is.
I have my mom's cousin. I haven't talked to her in probably 10 years or so, and my mom just brought her up the last time I saw my mom. And today at Walmart, I ran into her, and I was like, "That's just to me, that's weird." You know, people call it a coincidence or whatever, but like, you know, something could have like my mom's brain could have worked and been like, "You're gonna see her. Let me remind you who she is." And then I saw her today, and I was like, kind of fucked up. I don't know.
It's either
you manifested it.
We either manifest it or we sense it. One of the two. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's either we created it or it was telling us that it's gonna happen.
Yeah, it's gonna.
One of the two.
And now that we're talking about this, it's just like kind of like at the time when I saw her, I was just like, "Oh, hi, how you doing?" But I was like, it's kind of weird now that we're like kind of talking about it and it happened. I haven't, you know.
Yeah, no. That happens in all kinds of ways for me. Like I'll just think about like a movie or something recently, and then it just happens to come on Netflix this month or something, or like just weird little things like that, even in the slightest ways, like strange things.
I gotta see Black Mirror now.
Or like,
got me hooked.
I will be having a conversation with somebody while a podcast is playing in the background, and I'll say like a specific word, and then they will say that specific word right after that.
Yeah.
It's weird.
That does happen sometimes, yeah.
See, like that's a universal wink, I think.
Yeah, it's just like, yeah, we're here. It's all kind of, there's something here. Yeah.
But there's a lot of people that don't listen to any of that. They don't listen to gut feelings. They're always negative talk. Like you going to the UFC, did you always believe, or did you pick up momentum as you went on? Like
from the time I was 17, I told my mom I'm going to be in the UFC.
Yeah, see, you manifested that. Yeah. I try to tell people how important self-talk is. If you're constantly, like, you'll see people that are they're clumsy or whatever. Oh, you dumb fuck, you know. They're always beating themselves up everywhere they go, and they're more and more clumsy as they progress. They're manifesting those things that happen. If you want to win, if you want to overcome anything, you have to keep telling yourself, "I can do this." It's not like you have to speak it into existence.
I'm a very firm believer in positive thinking. So, like, you know, I know a lot of fighters, for instance, because that's what I'm most comfortable with is fighting. A lot of guys will think of themselves in bad positions in the fight, and I'm like, I can't do it. I'll make myself go crazy because, like, in my head, when I visualize that fight, I'm never in a bad position. I'm never on my back. I'm never getting punched. I'm the one doing it. And I think people that think this way of like, man, I could get stuck under this guy, I could get trapped, I could get my arm stuck in something. Like they're almost telling themselves it's going to happen.
Yeah, they're man. Yep.
I just can't do it.
My first 2 pro fights, I never thought at all about what the other guy was going to do. I just went in and steamrolled him.
Mm-hmm.
My third fight was at Fight Fest, and it was for Hoist Gracie. It was in an arena, like 4,500 people. The whole time I was scared shitless.
Yeah.
This guy, I could go out here and get hurt. All these people are watching, and I went out there and just got my ass kicked. When I didn't think about what that person was doing and only thought about what I was doing, that's when I performed well.
Because you had no fear. I feel like there's a little bit of fear that...
You plant a seed.
Yeah.
I'm going to use the restroom real quick.
Oh, go for it.
I'm a big believer in that.
Speak amongst yourselves. I'm going to manifest.
I don't remember how to talk to Mark by myself.
This turned into a very different conversation. I like it, though.
Yeah. I knew it would. I had to get out of the MMA shit out of the way, though.
Yeah. No, I knew that would happen.
I think, just going back to Game of Thrones, I think this week is going to be fucking awesome, by the way.
I think the Battle of Winterfell is happening.
I think that's how... I think it's 3 because they added 22 minutes to it.
Oh, you're right. I didn't think about that. Yeah, the first 2 episodes
they
are
just
still at an
added
hour.
22 minutes of it.
Yeah.
And I guess it's going to be like the longest battle in cinema history.
Really?
Like from the start to the finish is the battle.
I heard it's like 3 times bigger than Battle of the Bastards, and that was the biggest one they've done so far.
And that was awesome.
Yeah, Battle of the Bastards was great.
I think this one, I was a little disappointed in this episode because I thought like you have 6 episodes to do it. You guys gotta make something crazy happen. But now that it's almost Sunday, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it gonna be on tomorrow? Cause it's Easter.
Yeah. Dude, if it wasn't on tomorrow, people would. It'd be the worst
Raise
Easter
hell.
ever. Yeah.
Be another crucifixion.
Yeah, they'll kill Jesus again, dude.
So, all right, I want to talk about how much time we got left.
Whatever time you want.
All right.
So we're done.
Like you just said, they'd kill Jesus again. Do you think if someone came, Jesus per se, one person, came today, they wouldn't do the same thing to him? I think they would.
I don't know if
crucify him
they.
again.
I don't think they would crucify him. I think there'd be too many people that would think that was terrible just to kill somebody just because he's saying something. But I think if Jesus came back today, you know what I mean, and said, "Hey, I'm Jesus," and was like trying, and essentially
This is what I really meant.
Yeah, I think people just wouldn't believe him.
Put him in the
They
mental
just think
ward.
he's a crazy person.
He'd be like on Zoloft in about 3 minutes. Here you go.
Jesus
Crazy.
couldn't happen today. Even if somebody was born and was doing crazy stuff from birth and was claiming to be, the reincarnation of Jesus or something, I think people would still call bullshit.
Yeah, black magic.
Or something
Yeah.
like James.
Chris Angel.
You know who James Randi is? He's like a guy that he's always, to this day, he has $1 million. He put $1 million out there for anybody to show him actual proof of real psychic ability. And to this day, he's always been able to debunk it. So I think people like him would immediately go out there and try to call his bullshit. And even if they couldn't, they would still deny it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's always going to be deniers no matter what. And
There was back then too, though.
Yeah, well, no, exactly. That's what killed. But I don't think nowadays people could get away with crucifying someone.
Right. Yeah, not literal. Probably not.
Yeah, just they'd crucify them. They'd defame them, essentially.
My theory is the reason they kill the mystics is because they're giving away the game. If everyone says, "Yeah, Jesus is right. We are all sons of God," what would we have done? What are we going to do? Just lay around and it's just going to be an orgy all the time, or we're going to sit and pray and meditate? We wouldn't create all the things that we've created since then.
Yeah.
So when someone comes out like that, you're gonna ruin the game. It's
Let's eliminate them.
Yeah, it's like telling a kid that sorry, spoiler alert. Telling a kid Santa Claus isn't real.
Right.
He's giving away the game. You don't want to tell everybody.
Yeah, and then your kid's that asshole kid that lets everybody know it's cool.
Yeah, he's the one whispering in the back. It's all a farce.
Yeah, they're lying to us.
I think there's a lot of people out there that think though that the whole God and Jesus thing is just a big Santa Claus thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, my cousin's one of them. He's like, yeah, Santa Claus isn't real. Why? What makes me believe that this guy is real?
Yeah, I mean,
I'm like,
and that
dude,
could
there's a
very
whole bunch of shit out there to tell you that it is real.
And that could very well be the case that it's not real, but it could very well be that it is. Like, there's just as much to back up that it's real as there isn't to back up that it's real.
What is real? That's the thing. Like, all right, so we're talking Santa Claus, religion, God. Think of the Wizard of Oz. The Wizard of Oz. There was a guy behind the curtain.
Mm-hmm.
What was the message of once they realized the guy was behind the curtain and it was all a show? What was the message?
He was just a regular guy. That's how I took it.
Well, everyone went to Oz because they had something that they were missing.
Yeah.
The message was they had it all the time.
Yeah, they had it all along.
Yeah, he always had. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's basically what the Wizard of Oz ties it. It's not something in the sky. It's right here. The divine spark is within us. We've had it all along.
Well, I'll never look at that movie the same way.
Really, when it comes down to it, like there's a rap group called Jedi Mind Tricks, and they once said, and I don't know if this is from a movie or what, but they repeated a lot, and it says you don't got to go to church to get to know your God. And makes total sense. Like and then basically what that says to me is like spirituality is something that's personal. Like it has nothing to do with you, nothing to do with you. Like it's whatever it is to you. So like your beliefs are your beliefs, and nobody should have any say. Like you can talk to people about it, but like when it comes down to it, you're gonna believe what you're gonna believe, and you're gonna believe it for your own reasons. And no one is gonna change that really, unless you decide that they're gonna change that.
Right. You let them.
Yeah. So
the Bhagavad Gita, which is a Hindu book, it's the Song of God. It says no matter who they worship, they're all worshiping me. He wasn't a vengeful God or a jealous God. The Hindu God says, let them worship whoever they want. It's me. It's all me.
Man, wow, he's even saying that. They're like, look, it's all the same.
Yeah.
Like right there, it's in the word.
So, where do you see yourself a year from now? What's some of your goals you got planned?
Get your license?
Yeah, Jeff, he's going to help me get my license, I guess.
Right on.
You said by age 33, but apparently it's by age 32 now.
Yeah. But, don't wait till 33. They might crucify you before that.
Oh, wow, I didn't think about that. Jesus. There's another coincidence.
Yeah, 33
This is a simulation. I don't know. Hopefully not farther behind, only further forward. I'm hoping maybe a few more 100 views an episode, if not more.
We're getting a lot of views this episode.
You know,
this should pick up some static.
Good, I hope so.
Yeah, it's been a conversation that's long overdue because I get on Facebook and do these little 5 or 10 minute videos, and I talk a little bit about what I've been thinking about or what I've been reading.
Okay.
How to apply it. But I've never sat down in a long form like this. This is good.
Yeah, I like doing it like this. The pressure's off. You don't gotta you can kind of just shoot the shit. Just go with the flow. That's what I like about this.
Well, you ever put something out and be like, man, I should have said this or should have said that?
Every single time.
I can say some things, let you guys talk, and okay, now I'm gonna say what.
Every single time. Like I'll even pick apart the way I said something. I was like, I could have said that much better. Like I could have made that much clearer and got my point across.
Yeah.
But that's just a side effect.
My enunciation.
Yeah, or just I don't know, up my vocabulary or something.
It gets to the point where I forget this thing is even here. It takes about 5 minutes usually.
Yeah.
And I forget this is even here, and then it just turns into a conversation. Yeah. That's what I think people appreciate about podcasts the most.
Yeah, I think the more...
It's not an interview. It's a conversation, and I know a lot of people that like to eavesdrop on people's conversation.
Yeah, they can relate to it more when it seems more like just... Yeah. It's almost like they're with you.
Yeah. I think we should. This is our next political race. They should have a debate like this.
You should.
Both of the candidates should go on a Rogan platform.
That would be fucking awesome.
I swear it's not like 15 seconds of them going at each other's neck and the crowd cheers. No, sit down. I want to know who you are. Give me 3 hours of your time.
That's my biggest thing is I've never voted. I've never voted. I don't see myself voting because I don't know this person. I don't know who this person is to lead this country.
Yeah, no,
and is it even worth having one person do it anymore? How many people are in America? 300 and some million?
Yeah. Joe Rogan talks about that all the time. He's like, maybe back in the day when there were just like few hundred people, few thousand people, yeah, you could keep track of that. It's like nowadays, like you can't just put one guy in there to make decisions for.
And all it's turned
really not
300 million people.
No.
Yeah,
I mean.
they're a figurehead. We all, most people with common sense knows that he's not pulling the strings. But I feel at this point it's almost divided this country so much.
Yep,
and that's the thing I do understand is like 90% of the people that I consider my friends or family or whatever, like, it doesn't matter who the fuck you voted for. I still love you the same way.
Right.
But I've lost relationships, like, with friends or, we're all drinking, having a good time, and it ruins the night. Because
you won't worship their God.
Yeah. I won't shut the you can't put me in my place if I feel like I'm right or you're just trying to tell me what you feel is right. And it's like, no, there's other opinions of this. And then like you try to make me feel bad for what I think. And it's like,
exactly.
Dude, like, try to put the shoe on the other foot, like type deal. Like I
have an open mind.
Yeah, I don't feel like if you voted for Hillary or anybody or Trump I don't feel any way about it. Like that's who you wanted to, but like don't make me feel bad for it.
It's none really when it comes down to it. It's none of their business and it's none of yours. Like,
but that's the problem. They've made it. You used to not talk about who you voted for.
Yeah. Politics is something you just didn't talk about.
Now they want you to like, who's your team? Like you have to almost put it on your Facebook profile.
Right.
Who you're rooting for?
And there's no point in doing it. How many political conversations have you seen happen or been in where it ended like, you know what? You're right. I'm a Democrat now.
Yeah, change your
Never.
It's pointless. Just don't even do it.
I worked at a bar for 6 years, and I said the couple things you never talk to anybody about is politics, religion, or money.
Yeah.
Because that will end in an argument 99% of the time.
And that's all I want to talk about is religion.
It's fun when you get some
We'll be
people
drinking
that
beers
can
and
talk about
smoking,
it.
and we'll be in a circle, and I'll start talking about consciousness, and it's like, it works pretty good with my friends because they're.
But you also keep an open mind about it. You're not like, this is how it is.
Yeah, I'm not preaching at it. I'm trying to get them to believe it.
That's the thing I don't like is when people preach at me and this is how I should feel about it.
You want to save your soul, boy?
Yeah, that kind of shit. Yeah. I'm like, dude, I'd leave it. I'm a pretty good person. I don't go to church, but.
And a year. What's your year?
I honestly just want to make money so my future wife and my kid and my future kids are taken care of a little bit, because I grew up as a poor kid.
Right.
And I remember what it was like seeing kids with brand new shoes. And I know it's a materialistic thing, but like growing up, man, that's like a big thing for me. Like I'm wearing Beavis and Butthead shoes right now. I could care less what people think about what I'm wearing. It's more or less I don't want them picked on.
Right.
So try to win some fights and I everything I'm doing right now, I want to get married in the next year. So.
Oh
Yeah.
Did you feel when you got in the UFC, when you walked in the octagon, did you feel like, all right, this is the beginning or the next step in my journey, or did you feel like some completion?
I thought I was gonna feel a little bit of completion, but it was like it wasn't. It was like I need to keep going.
That's good.
I was happy that I got to where I was.
That's why you're still winning.
Yeah, and I wanted to fucking like.
Yeah.
But like I didn't feel nervous. I felt more like you hear about people getting the pre-fight UFC jitters. I felt more comfortable. I felt more comfortable in that setting than the first time I stepped in the RFO cage.
Really?
I was like, I belong here. I belong here in this. Yeah. So
this is where I've been headed. The whole time.
That's good. If it was the other way around, I'd say there was a problem.
I've seen guys that. Josh Hendricks is one of the guys. He made it to the UFC. Granted, he fought Gabe Gonzaga
in his prime, yeah.
But as soon as he walked in the cage, Josh is like, exhale, this is it. He was like, I made it.
Yep.
And he went out and just got steamrolled. Like, you have to, no, this is the next step. You're not done yet,
Yeah.
Jeff
I don't
said it
think
best. You got to stay hungry, as you like to put it.
You got to stay hungry. In this sport. I think what also has helped me out through my career is like, I know there's people that eat, sleep, breathe MMA, and I'm not one of those people.
Right.
Like, it's like legit probably number 3 on my list of things.
Yeah.
That like to me it's just a job. Like you clock in, you clock out.
But we have to ask what 1 and 2 is now.
It's definitely my family.
No, I know.
My daughter. It would go my family, including my daughter, and then my friends, and then UFC. Because my real friends.
And now Black Mirror,
Yeah.
number 4.
It's gonna be number 4.
Yeah.
I say my friends because like I consider most of them like closer than family.
That's me
and
too.
and they don't care if I go out there and get beat up in 15 seconds. They're still gonna support me.
Yeah.
So,
For sure.